Welcome to the NBA Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by TheLines.com. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined by my guy Nate Weitzer on the East Coast. We are looking at a 4-game slate here on Thursday. There is a game out in Paris that we won't be talking about, as that's going to start pretty early here in the States. Want you to like and subscribe to that page so you can continue to follow along with us each and every weekday this season. In this video, we are talking about a pretty fun game here. Phoenix hosting Brooklyn. CP3 upgraded to questionable, so he will return at some point, maybe tonight. We'll see. We're going to dive into this one. We've also got another game video up and our player props as well that we're bringing you each and every weekday this season. Also want you to head to thelines.com. That's where we have all the great written content that we're talking about here, and our odds finder tool. You can use that to make sure you're getting the best juice back on all those bets you make in the NBA this season. Nate, let's go ahead and jump into the 4 games we've got on our slate here tonight, and then talk about our game, Nets and Suns.
The other game we break down is a marquee matchup. Warriors plus 6.5 at Boston in a finals rematch. The total is at 240. That does seem too high for me. We talk about it in the game video, go back and forth a little bit. The Raptors are -5 at the Wolves, who are on a back-to-back there. The Sixers are -2 at Portland after getting a win at the Clips. And then this game, the Nets are favored. They're -1.5. The total's at 220, between 220 and 222, wherever you want to find it. Certainly if CP3 doesn't play, I don't know if both teams crack 100 here. I mean, the Nets have barely done so without KD. In 3 games, I mean, the results have been, they've just gone from just one of the best teams in the league to one of the worst. In every category you want to look at, he is truly the most valuable guy to his team in this instance. I mean, and you look at what happened last year too, when he had a knee injury in January. They, especially at the start, they were 2-12 straight up and 4-10 against the spread, and a defensive rating of 119, an offense that only got 107 points per game. And so you include these 3 losses, they've now lost 18 of their last 21 without Kevin Durant. And for them to be favored, I know what the Suns are going through. And they, in their own right, have lost 10 of 12. 12 of 14, excuse me. Popping up with random wins at Memphis and Golden State, which are just utterly boggled the imagination. It's a completely different story if Chris Paul is back. DeAndre Ayton missed a bunch of those games. He will play. They expect Cam Johnson to return for the first time in months as well. Even if Chris Paul doesn't play, though, I said to you, I still think the Suns win. I don't. This is a Nets team that scored 98 at the Spurs, the worst defense in the league by most metrics, 98 points. That is dropped from first in effective field goal to 28th in 3 games without KD. Is dead last in offensive efficiency overall without him. 16 turnovers to 24 assists. It's all on Kyrie, I guess, to just go off every game. He's dealing with a bit of a calf injury that has him listed as probable, and now he gets the full attention of Mikal Bridges with no Durant out there. And I mean, there's just no shooting around him in terms of guys being actually able to connect. I mean, sure, Joe Harris and Seth Curry can pull out of this funk a little bit, but again, they're dead last in 3-point shooting since KD went down and shot just 13% at the Spurs. Both teams do limit points inside the arc very well. The Nets defense is still there, and Jacques Vaughn does a great job of coaching that. The Suns offense is nothing to really trust, although it is much better at home. And they go under an extremely high clip against the Eastern Conference. What's that worth? For against the with a rest advantage, they go under. They have 2 days off here. And the Nets have been going under in pretty much every situation, but especially when they're on these skids, 11-4 to the under after a loss. So, I mean, the total's a little low to feel great about an under, because I do think the Suns could suddenly get right, especially with Paul, if Paul does play here, and they could score 120. But I would take the Nets team under, wherever you find that, and just take the Suns as they're even money right now to win this game at home. Look, they're not going to lose every game the rest of the season. I know they're dealing with some dysfunction, but this is an absolute lockdown. This is going to be a win for the Suns after they played 10 of their last 12 on the road. They got to come home and win this one.
Man, I I don't fully agree with you, and I hate to say that only because of how happy you are in your take on the Suns, and it's not a bad one by any means. The one thing I'm looking at to lead me to just go wait just 1 second is they did lose that game to the Spurs, scoring 98 points without Kyrie, and I think that matters. I understand in the other games they weren't exactly scoring either, right? Against the Thunder, they only dropped 102 and the C's 98. And so, is Kyrie going to make that big of a difference with the 3-point shooting as bad as it is? Probably not. It's sad that the pace is about better than 100 for them. They're like basically ninth in pace in their last 3 games without KD, but they just are so bad on offense and so inefficient that they're still barely they're not even scoring 100 points. So the lack of the shooting and the assists were never necessarily a crucial stat for them. But the fact that KD's not in there and now there's no your turn my turn with him and Kyrie, the offense just doesn't know what to do, and it's going to take like 40 points from Kyrie to get this team to like 110 points in any shape or fashion, because he's not really creating for others the way that KD does. And there's probably never been a player in the history of the league that can overcome bad offense around him like KD, because there's never been a 7-footer that has the combination of speed and shooting and distance in the entire league. Even Dirk was more of a back you down guy than then you have a fear of him getting to the rim from the 3-point line. So it's not surprising that all the shooting metrics just go straight down for them, because they were already in the top 5 in terms of unassisted field goals made from all over the floor, before KD went down. If you're not going to start passing the ball when he's gone, then yeah, you're completely screwed. I will say I like an under, even if Chris Paul plays, because of the way the Nets have been losing without him. Even if they're going to score the 105 points that they're capable of without KD right now, I don't see them giving up 120 to the Suns tonight, regardless of how fast they play. What scares me about the Suns is their awful home underdog record, and the way that they're getting crushed by almost 10 points when they're home dogs. But that's also in situations where they didn't have DeAndre Ayton and Chris Paul for 3 of those games. So do with that what you will. I think if you think Kyrie is going to be stifled enough by Mikhail the Destroyer tonight, Bridges as we call him, then I think then the under feels really right. I would say that this might make more sense at about 218. It's sitting at 221 right now. I still think anything about 220 or 221 is still good for an under in this game, and that would be what I prefer based on the game theory that you're using, rather than feeling that confident that Kyrie won't be the best player on the floor down the stretch if this one's close and able to sort of pull out the win for them if there's no Chris Paul on the floor.
I like the under too. I mean, I agree. And that's part of the reason why I like the Suns is, they've given up 63 paint points their last 3 on the road here, with Ayton either out or playing disgruntled. But they're 10th in paint points at home. They're 5th in opponents' 2-point shooting. Their defensive rating 6 points better. And they limit assisted field goals, which I think is the key here. I mean, yeah, the Nets playing without Kyrie had to share the ball and be a true team against the Spurs, who are actually 5th in limiting assisted field goals at home, dead last in about everything else. But they're like, look, if you want to try to spread us out and beat us with execution, you're not going to be able to do that. And sure enough, I don't know if any team has scored 98 or less in San Antonio this year, and the Nets go ahead and do that. It's just like, who else? I mean, Kyrie can have 40, like you said. I mean, who else is scaring you? TJ Warren or like, yeah. TJ Warren scares you. Yeah,
no, that would be who it was.
Yeah,
though.
But yeah, no, it does not frighten me. I mean, the last time these teams met, it was without KD in Phoenix, but with both Harden and Kyrie, and they lose by 10. CP3. Obviously inspires a lot of confidence for you if you place this bet now and it's even money, and then Chris Paul's playing, because he had 20 and 14 and was a plus 20 and just controlled that game as he did often the last 2 years. Maybe hasn't necessarily been the same scenario. Whatever's going on behind closed doors, I do think the Suns can pull out of it enough to get this relatively easy win against a wounded Duck here that's still on a long road trip. It just has, again, regressed to one of the worst offensive teams in the league.
Yeah, no, I'm not picking Brooklyn. I'm definitely leaning under here. I just wanted to take a little bit of the wind out of your sails and the comfort level. And the only thing I really have to combat that is if Kyrie's going to be amazing down the stretch. That's the only thing you can bank on. If Chris Paul plays, though, this spread is definitely incorrect for sure. So I'd feel good about hitting it now and see how that goes. Did we even say Cam Johnson might be back for them? Looks like he's probably going to play, which, I mean, who knows what he's going to give on his first game. Probably not even going to make 20 minutes. But man, is it good to see somebody out there for the Suns that can play on the wing and make some threes like he can. So that is all the time we have for you in this one. Make sure to like and subscribe to that page. Continue to follow along with us. Also have our player props video up for you today. So until we see you next, happy betting.